Remember when you were younger and you heard the twinkling song of the ice cream truck calling all the neighborhood out for a sweet treat? Well, would you have come running if it had sounded like this? YouTuber John Bob Guy published this clip in June of 2008, writing that this demonic ice cream van shows up every single day at his apartment complex. The thing always scares his cat. The cat is probably not the only one with hair on end. Usually parents tell their kids if strangers offer candy to run like heck, particularly strangers in white creepy vans. Well, this scenario isn't too far off. The ice cream truck's tune sounds nothing short of creepy, giving it a distinct horror movie vibe. You know, the warbling song right before Chucky pops out and takes a life. You can almost expect the clown from It to be serving up soft serves from this truck. Probably not the most inviting image. To add to the creepiness, the vehicle isn't even a truck but is literally a white van driving very slowly through a neighborhood to lure passersby. And at the end of the video, it seems one is lured as a person comes running over to order from the creepiest ice cream van ever. YouTuber Lynn writes in the comments, "If animals act weird around this sort of thing, it's definitely haunted." The rat nest adds, "And the people who posted this were never seen again." One thing's for sure, this evil tune should never exist. YouTube team Ozark Paranormal Project sets up a stationary camera in this haunted room. While the group is all hanging out in the hallway, notice that their shadows cast from a light in the next room to the upper wall.
I walked in on this. Heart attack.
Stand in the corner and pray with me.
But later, when no one's there, strange lights are cast on the room's walls. What was that? Watch above the open door. It almost looks like fairy dust. It doesn't appear the same as the other light sources falling in the room. But is it paranormal? I think it's more likely a camera glitch of some kind, but I've never seen one so bizarre. That's what this YouTuber thinks about Bloody Mary after making this video. He says her name way more than 3 times, and then begins to taunt her out loud.
Are you real Bloody Mary? Or are you just a f***ing joke? Did y'all just hear that?
Still not convinced, the brave teen says her name some more and waits. It isn't long before he gets his reply.
Do that. What's going on here?
Drawers are opening on their own, the faucet turns on, and he soon concludes that Bloody Mary is very real after all. He goes to grab the door and finds that it won't budge. He puts his hands on top of his head now, obviously distressed. Just when he is sure that he's a goner, he manages to open the door and make an escape. A scary video by Annie Magic has gone viral in Russia because of how much creepy stuff is in it, beginning with a black plastic trash bag found while exploring an abandoned house late at night. What's inside confuses her as much as it does frighten.
Возможно, кто-то меня опередил, как с водобашней. Нет. Записка. Люк.
It sounds like she says look, but it probably means something different in Russian. So tell me what this handwritten message really says. She looks up in time to see a car stop and drive off. It's strange to see anyone out here at all, let alone so late at night, and so she goes to where the vehicle last was. The grass is wet and cold underfoot, and it soaks through her shoes. It takes her a great while to get there, and then, much to her dismay, she finds what's been left behind. A car drives slow, headlights off. The brights flip when she's within grabbing distance. She runs for her life and must have gotten away because she has uploaded since then. I'm not sure if this video is scripted or not. She hasn't gone exploring any abandoned houses for years now, which makes me think this scary experience could be real. Check out what a YouTuber named Aqua Chigger found growing on the bottom of a river in Williamsport, Maryland. It's a riverbed full of green gelatinous plant life that strangely sways and shimmers. Aqua Chigger believes he may have found some kind of a brightly colored underwater alien colony. While I'm not so sure about that, I certainly do think this is a strange find. Let me know if you have seen anything like it before, and if so, what it could be. If you had a chance to visit a haunted hospital, would you? YouTubers Ogden Paranormal became this haunted hospital's reluctant patients when they stepped into Asylum 49. Published to YouTube in September of 2019, Ogden Paranormal wrote, "The old 2L hospital is one of the most haunted places in Utah, if not the most haunted. This location was made famous by the Ghost Adventures crew, who have now visited twice due to the incredible evidence they captured the first go-around. Ogden has investigated this place several times, and this time they returned to investigate who or what scared them out of the place years prior." A little background on the old 2L hospital. As one of Utah's major paranormal sites, the underfunded hospital was without a morgue, leaving the passed away stacked and waiting for their paperwork. Patients have stuck around the place, showing themselves even to those retired folk who resided in and what remained of the building. It's said that sightings of ghost children often precede someone's passing. Others believe that child ghosts are actually demons, and they aren't the only spirits that appear there. A nurse in white roams the hallways, a man dressed in black appears at 3 a.m., and a little girl has been known to appear and then vanish. So who did Ogden Paranormal encounter during their investigation? Let's see firsthand. Granted, this asylum has been turned into a haunted house, so much of the creepiness you see in the video is set up to appear that way, but other things can't really be explained. About 4 minutes in, they head into the nursery, where a creepy old lady statue is posed. They are alone back here, or so they think. Look at the window to the left. Something passes beyond, creating a shadow figure in the frame. It moves out of frame once they come nearer the old lady. Later on, two of the crew see a figure down one hallway. As they're slowly making their way down the hallway, a giggle is heard in one of the rooms. The room is empty apart from some freaky mannequins.
Where you at, Wes?
Later, while all gathered in a conference room, they hear footsteps.
What's that?
Have you not moved?
Nope.
You guys heard those footsteps over here, right?
Yeah,
I thought that was you, man.
During their ghost box session, spirits are responding with frequency. One tells them good luck repeatedly, and one of the spirits brings up Skittles, which had been part of the conversation on a previous visit to the asylum. Little anomalies and disembodied breathing are also heard throughout the investigation. Makes you wonder, are there spirits here? Or are these mannequins about to come? If you happen upon a site where a sacrificial ritual was performed, run far, far away. YouTube channel, Si Investiga Cazadores de Lendas, was exploring this abandoned place when they came across just such a sight. They enter a room with lifeless animals and a pentagram on the wall. On the ground is a ponytail of hair and candles. There's a burnt animal skull on the wall.
Tudo aconteceu onde tudo acontece. As coisas apareceram aqui. Foi da última vez também que ele apareceu de ponta cabeça aqui na parede. E
as they're in this creepy room, they hear a noise. Soon their flashlights start to go haywire, and when the light turns back on, a demon has taken hold of one of them.
minha lanterna não quer acender também.
Nossa, tá olha aqui. Caralho. Meu Deus! Que é isso, Adriano? Que é isso, cara? Que é essa, velho? Pelo amor de Deus! Meu Deus do céu, cara, que é isso?
Later, they return to the room and see this. Well, it's not clear to me what this demon clown is or what the creature in black wanted from them. One thing is clear, they shouldn't be here. If you saw this on the horizon, you may think some serious stuff is going down. Posted to the very spooky video subreddit by RavenTexX, the Redditor writes, "Is this recent? Looks real." The footage shows a dark and stormy scene with heavy clouds on the horizon, and in their midst a blinding beam of light. The light brightens and recedes more, but stays in the sky for quite some time before zapping out, leaving the night in total and utter darkness. While life forms outside of this planet could very well exist, some Redditors have other explanations. Greg the Chief writes, "It could be a transformer. I worked as an electrician the past few years. I never saw something that size, but electric energy has more power than most people think. Since I'm not an electrician, I wouldn't know for sure, but that sounds like a pretty rational explanation." Two friends are riding around in the country when they come across an old house that gives off a strange feeling. They have nothing better to do, so they decide to investigate the old wooden structure in search of adventure. They are still outside of the house when their camera starts to mess up, a clear sign that Slenderman is near. They don't think much of the electronic disturbance and continue to poke around the perimeter. Eventually, they find a doorless entrance and step inside, and that's when things go terribly wrong. Something bad seems to have wrecked this house. It's trash from the inside, and a part of it has collapsed in ruins. They aren't in there for long before they decide they've seen enough and want to leave. But when they go for the exit, something goes for them.
Yeah, let's go. Oh shit!
Slenderman reaches for them, and the sound cuts out on the camera as they scramble for a different exit. They barely make it out alive. According to many believers, this still frame is the closest anyone's ever come to capturing Slenderman's true form. Pakistani ghost hunter Woa Kaya Hoga bravely goes exploring a jinn's den to confront a paranormal presence that's been haunting his town for too long.
दरवाजा खटका अंदर से किधर वो क्या
They can't get in this way, but there is another entrance heavily guarded by this nefarious jinn.
अंदर आए ना जरा देखें हसन भाई इधर कैमरे की लाइट लाएं वो देख
ओए इसको क्या हुआ है ओए
It could be a real encounter, or they could be throwing rocks. The explorers investigate a different part of the wall where someone, maybe them, threw an object hard enough to take a piece out, and that's when... Noises surround them, and this door is moving on its own out of their reach. Something is next to them.
यार
मेन गेट से आवाज आई मुझे आ गया
One of them grabs their leg while white eyes watch from the windows, and when it comes to abandoned haunted houses where there are glowing eyes, there's almost always a ghost.
क्या हो रहा है
ओए अल्लाह अकबर ओए वो देखो
कुछ चीज गई
वो देखो फिर गई
A mysterious figure flutters past the window, and in its place is only a single glowing eye, the eye of a jinn. What we don't know can't hurt us. Maybe. Published to TikTok by John Vasquez, he writes, "Caught on my cousin's trail cam, proof that there is something out there that we don't know about. A small buck is captured in the forefront of the shot, while behind him in the forest, a very strange looking creature passes by. It looks like a multi-tiered stack of pumpkins. The buck seems disturbed by the presence behind him as he quickly turns around and walks a few steps to peer beyond the bush. While many in the comments note that the buck obviously sensed it, a TikTok user notes the creature is something best left alone. That's probably the best advice. If you're looking to have night terrors for weeks and jump scares for days, have I got the Scream Fest for you. This clip was posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Exploring with Eric. In the video, the crew is exploring an abandoned house. The interior is in disarray. Fresh markings are painted on the walls. As they attempt to communicate with spirits in the home, one crew member asks the spirit to knock once if he wants them to leave. No answer, but he asks once again to knock before they leave to let them know he is there. He demonstrates by knocking on the wall, and this time the spirit answers. Listen closely, his response is distant, but you can hear it distinctly. The spirit knocks back, and hopefully this video is proof that the crew lived to tell the tale.
Can you do that? Can you do that?
Okay. I don't know if this episode of CK Taylor's show is more odd or terrifying. Today's item on the menu is Gooey duck, which is an oversized clam, not a duck, though it does look extraordinarily gooey. Forget about the appearance for 1 second and let me ask you this. Would you be able to eat anything that sounds like a hissing balloon?
เราจะมาลองชิมกันเป็นคือมันยังเป็นอยู่นะคะ
It doesn't get any prettier or less odd looking when you remove the first layer of skin. If anything, it just looks twice as terrifying as before. And when CK Taylor cracks open the shell, the rest of its body looks like some kind of tumor. This is what it looks like when it's fully prepared, which I will admit looks more like a regular piece of seafood, but still like something from another dimension. So that's a hard pass from me. To be fair, I'm sure CK Taylor is an excellent chef, and her husband says it tastes good when he tries it.
It tastes good, right?
No.
Would you be brave enough to take a bite? Caden Parker meets up with some friends at a local skate park and finds someone much older trying to pick arguments with everyone he sees.
Big man! Who's big man? You, right?
I'm going for a sleeper.
Dude, come on. Can you just leave us alone? We're just trying to have a good time, enjoying the nice weather.
Who cares? I'm going for a sleeper.
Soon he turns his attention towards Caden and tells him he's going to put him in a submission hold if he comes down from the ramp. By now the skate park has mostly cleared out, so it's just a face-off between Caden and this angry stranger.
Dude, the police are on their way. I hope you know that.
I hope so.
We have a
I didn't insult
individual at the
skate park,
and he's trying to pick fights with little kids.
All right then. Might as well make it worth it.
Yo, tell him to send an officer ASAP.
An officer shows up right before things get any more out of hand. I really don't think this is a fake video because the officer walks up and puts him in cuffs straight away. Apparently, he has a long history of doing this and nobody seems to be acting. After he's taken away, the park fills back up with people who are scared away. Caden Parker shows a lot of bravery standing up for them, as well as self-restraint by not stepping forward when challenged. Had this escalated, he could be in as much trouble as the person who is actually in the wrong. He did everything right in my opinion, and is allowed to enjoy the rest of his day peacefully as a result. The Three Haunted Explorers is the name of a paranormal YouTube channel that doesn't need to go exploring very far to find something spooky. That's because a scary ghost is already haunting their room, or so they claim, and this is the best paranormal evidence they've caught on camera so far. They set up a night vision camera. Soon they've caught the ghost moving stuff like cabinet drawers. Part of the drawers aren't shown, so the ghost hunters might be moving it off camera. But just when I was starting to doubt whether this scary video was real, more objects begin moving on their own. On a table behind them, caught on camera is the reflection of a possible ghost moving across the surface. They put everything back in place and wait. That's when the ghost knocks all of the objects over once again by moving a chair. The swivel chair continues to move on its own as if a ghost is pushing it. At 33 seconds, a mysterious shadow even walks in front of the camera. A ghost. The paranormal explorers would later say, although it could have belonged to them. Stuff keeps falling over by itself, which is creepy, but they could be crawling across the floor to fake the paranormal activity. I hope they make more creepy follow-up videos from a better angle to show us more of the room when it happens. A YouTuber named Vision Quest Outdoors is exploring the Gettysburg field when he has what he believes is a real video of a ghost sighting. The video is pretty scary and I think he could be right. Let's take a look at the paranormal evidence and try to figure out what it was he and his friends say on that night.
What is that? Oh my God. What am I seeing? No way there's a guy out here at 2 a.m.
According to the uploader, they turned around only to find the figure had mysteriously disappeared. This is the footage from when they turned around, but unfortunately it's too dark to make out very much one way or another. I believe what he says is true because if I'm not mistaken, this footage is from the same location during the day. There are cannons lined up here, but no statue whatsoever. If this was the same location, then this definitely has to be a real ghost sighting caught on video. Vadim Vadimich is a Russian YouTuber who often explores the radioactive remains of Chernobyl, an abandoned power plant that went into meltdown during the 1980s. On this journey, he and his friends find an abandoned daycare center that seems quite haunted. One of the first things they find are two dolls. One is headless and the other has poked-in eyes, shaded black all around, as if someone was pressing down aggressively hard as they scribbled. It's not a welcoming sign, but could just be the work of some edgy teens, or maybe even someone in their own group, so they press on. Across from the dolls is this picture of a Russian team all huddled around a strange object in the center. I don't know what this is in the middle, so someone help me out because it might be a clue. I assume this was a picture of the kids who used to come here before the meltdown. Who knows how many, if any, actually made it to adulthood due to the radioactive exposure. Immediately behind the photo is a creepy old picture of a Russian woman in full uniform crying. I don't understand the significance of this picture, but I feel like they are saying something important here. So translate this part from Russian to English if you can. After a while, it becomes apparent that they are all being watched. These white eyes first appear on the other side of a window at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I thought it was just his light, until I realized the light is hitting his chest and shouldn't be visible behind him at all. And here at 3 minutes and 52 seconds, the eyes appear again in a doorway, much closer. It's just for a split second, but I mean, whose flashlight looks like that? Nobody's that I know. Those look like eyes for sure, glowing ones at that. They come across a portion of building they've explored before, but this time the door is partially opened, so they cautiously step inside. The first thing I noticed were these floating eyes at 7 minutes and 56 seconds. They look exactly the same size and shape as the ones before, but what they saw was the top of someone's head, someone incredibly tall and standing totally still. Standing motionless is a figure with a blacked out face and long white garbs. They run away and soon encounter it again. Its white clothes somewhat resemble the doll clothes we saw earlier. Could that have been a warning? When it gets close to them, it seems shorter than before, but impossibly broad-shouldered and powerful looking. I don't know why they let it get this close, but I guess they were frozen in place from fear and tired from running. I hope this was just a mannequin or something, but when it does this, I know it's far from a prop.
Да, Вадим, уйди назад.
The group retreats back inside, and now cornered eventually resorts to smashing through a window and takes a risk climbing through broken glass just to get away from whatever they just saw. So I think it's real. What would you do if you ran into a massive python in the paranormal all in one night? published to YouTube in June of 2020 by Catch 'em All Fishing. That's exactly what happened to this explorer as he trapezed through the ramshackle underground city. In fact, Zach seems to have gone here specifically to look for snakes. The abandoned place is, in and of itself, creepy enough. He keeps shouting hello as he begins his journey, and his echo rings eerily throughout the enormous space. The dark, damp place seems like the perfect breeding ground for snakes. At one point, around 4 minutes and 15 seconds, Zach appears to capture the beam of a flashlight bouncing off a distant wall. He also hears voices. He may not be alone down here. He rushes over to see who else is there, but he says the voices have stopped. Then he hears the haunted voices again. It's more like a moaning, which is made even more terrifying by the echo. Then at 5 minutes and 53 seconds, Zach abruptly turns to a doorway, seeming to sense something there, and it appears that something is there. If you watch in slow-mo, an obscure figure is standing in the darkness of the opposite room. Although he got the heck out of there, Zach's night didn't end there. As he's driving home, he crosses paths with what he'd been looking for all along, a snake. Zach chases down an enormous python. He manages to grab it by the tail while the snake tries to bury its head in the sand. He grips the snake near its head and shows the audience its fangs as the python starts to wrap its thick body around his arm. I think this is exactly why you should never grab a python. Zach tries to release the snake into a bag and does manage to collect him and zip him inside without getting tagged. Between encountering what may have been the paranormal in the underground city and prying this python from his arm, one thing's for sure, this dude has nerves of steel. That guy Aaron has $100 to blow, so he orders a deep web mystery box to see what he can find. Inside the box is a typed note suggesting that he made a mistake ordering this box, and things get weirder from there. Aaron slowly begins pulling out items that, when put together, recreate the scene of a horrible atrocity. Duct tape, surgical gloves, zip tie cuffs, and an old hand-turned screw that people would use instead of an electric drill are all found inside. Then there's this quick old video clip of a female stranger.
Cole? You can swing on this one.
Where are we at?
Powder Mountain.
Powder Mountain. What day is today?
Something about this short video feels very dark and sinister. Could the girl seen here also be the same person who these instruments were later used on? I guess that staging all of this would not be that hard. Thank you so much for getting me to 40,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Can you help me reach 50,000 subscribers? Thank you.